On this episode, it's all about dining yet again as we enjoy breakfast at Rainforest Cafe, lunch at Coral Reef, and our anniversary dinner at the newly reopened Narcooses over at the Grand Floridian Resort. Today is April 28th, 2023. This is episode 560 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my dining buddy, my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at MainStMagic. If you've not done so already, go ahead and head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. When it comes to dining at Disney World, at Disneyland, it can be extremely frustrating to find that Narcooses for your anniversary meal 60 days out.
Yes, absolutely.
But do not worry about that frustration because Mouse Dining is going to remove it by alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. We know that this works because it's how we got a perfect time at Narcooses.
Yes.
You can visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. So this is going to be kind of a two-parter in a sense where from our anniversary trip. And in this episode, we're going to focus on the three major sit-down meals that we did.
Okay.
That being Rainforest, Narcooses, and Coral Reef.
Okay.
And then next episode, we're going to kind of talk about the rest of the trip. That is going to include our first experience with the Tron virtual queue as we secured it from St. Augustine. The new Energy Bites food kiosk over there in Tomorrowland that we tried out.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see the parade again. We stopped at Tambu Lounge. We stayed at the Delta by Marriott Orlando Hotel. We stopped at Art Smith's for a drink, Paddlefish for a snack, went to Animal Kingdom's 25th anniversary. We got merch. We stopped at Nomad Lounge.
Holy crap, we did a lot.
And we did a behind the scenes tour.
Woo.
But that all will have to hold off for now. And that will come to you next episode.
Okay.
So make sure you tune in. Make sure you hit subscribe. So we're going to talk all about our three sit-down meals. Before we do that, can I talk about my underwear?
Oh, this is a family show, Jeremy.
Yes, and I'm going to give a wonderful family tip to everyone out there that was brought to this brand was brought to us by Chuck and Amy. And I've talked in the past. I've used those dry dudes before.
Uh-huh.
And it gets hot in the parks.
Mm-hmm.
You get hot. Chafing is typically involved a lot of times after a long day. Let's just all be honest. It is a serious issue for everyone. They turned us on to this brand, 32 Degrees Cool, that sells clothing that will help keep you both cool and warm if it's cold outside or hot, whatever. So they sell it at Costco. We went and they had boxer briefs for men that I bought a 3-pack of and used them every day this past trip. And it was a game changer. Like, seriously, this is not a paid sponsor ad.
Maybe you should reach out to them.
We will. If anybody from 32 Degrees Cool is listening. These were so great. And it really does. It keeps you cool. It keeps you dry. It's very much kind of like that moisture wicking that you get in some Under Armours, things like that.
I'll have to
Super
try their
comfortable
shirt that I just got.
Yeah, so we went back today, right? Because that's how much we love these. Bought another pair of boxer briefs.
I didn't have any yet.
No, you're going to get to try them out now. I bought 2 pairs of shorts, and I bought a set of undershirts that I'm going to try out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a set of shirts, kind of like T-shirts as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to try those out. We'll let you know how they go. But honestly, if we're going to be a podcast that helps with tips and tricks, and we're probably going to do another revamp episode of how to stay cool during the summer at parks. 32 Degrees Cool is awesome. So check them out. You also go to their website.
I just started to
and
say
order online. You can get it from Amazon if you don't have a
Mm-hmm.
Costco or if they don't carry it or whatever. So absolutely love these. All right. Do we don't just dive right into our meals? And we're not going to do them in the order that we ate them, because we actually did on Saturday. We did Rainforest Cafe for breakfast, Narcooses for dinner. And then Sunday we did Coral Reef for lunch. We'll do them like through the meals. So we'll do breakfast, lunch, dinner. Right?
Okay.
So let's start with Rainforest Cafe over at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Before you get into the bullets, Rhonda, were you excited about this meal? Do you want to give any backstory for maybe any new listeners? For
So It's been a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Like 5 years possibly. So we went and ate at Rainforest Cafe with the kids, and we had a lunch. And after lunch, we went over to Disney Hollywood Studios, and we were at this one, correct?
Yeah, we were at Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
We ate at this one, and then after that, we went over to Hollywood Studios. That is the unfortunate story of Lacey getting sick. And Lacey's just that type to be that person where she's like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, you're fine. And it was funny. I kept telling her that. And then all of a sudden, my, like, I guess mother instinct maybe kicked in. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take her to the bathroom. And we got up the stairs. We were in the Beauty and the Beast show.
Yeah, over
at
Hollywood Studios.
Yep. And we got up to the top of the stairs, and she threw up everywhere. She continued to, unfortunately, all the way home, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Disney was amazing because they were like, we've got a first aid area. Do you want to get her out of the heat? Do you want to just go rest? And we were like, knowing her, we just need to get going.
Because we still had a 2-hour drive home.
We did. And so, yeah, she was sick on the way home. And by the time we really got home, she was pretty good. Now, I think
she got sick one more time.
Okay. This, we do not believe had anything to do with the food at Rainforest Cafe.
Kind of, yeah.
From our thoughts. But
it
has certainly sat in the back of everyone's minds for years. Same thing happened to me over a decade ago at P.F. Chang's.
Yes.
And I had a stomach bug. It had nothing to do with the food at P.F. Chang's, but it's pretty hard to not associate those two together. Yeah. So there was a dark cloud over Rainforest Cafe for us. We certainly were never going to be able to take Lacey back there again.
No.
But when we were planning this trip and I was looking at, Animal Kingdom's 25th being on April 22nd on Earth Day, which is our actual date of our anniversary. I don't remember what led me to this, but I came across Rainforest Cafe and their breakfast menu because we've been doing a lot of breakfast lately. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this menu looks legit. Like, this looks really, really good. And so I booked it knowing we're going to already be over there, much to Rhonda's dismay.
Because Lacey gets it honest, man.
I know. I know. I totally get it.
Can't help it.
But so I was excited. I think it had been long enough that I was like, you know what? I really still don't believe it had anything to do with Rainforest Cafe. We used to enjoy lunch there. I mean, we've been there plenty of times prior. Once Lacey got over being scared of going there.
Correct.
Then we ate there a couple times. Why don't you go ahead through some of our normal bullet points, and then we will get into kind of the atmosphere, the meal, and all that good stuff.
Well, it is Rainforest Cafe, as he said, and dining is located at the main entrance of Disney's Animal Kingdom. It is American. It is a unique and themed dining, and your discount is annual pass holder, and you get 10% off. Your breakfast or your times, breakfast is 8:30 a.m. to 10:25 a.m. Lunch is 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Dinner is 5:05 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, and you're really going to get your lunch and dinner menu is going to be the same. Your breakfast menu is certainly very, very different, filled with wonderful breakfast items. Mm-hmm. Rhonda, how did you feel? I mean, we had been here before. Anyone that is not, what is the atmosphere? What is checking into Rainforest Cafe like? Is this something that you enjoy? I remember sitting there and saying to you, it's amazing to me that this isn't unique to Disney, because it's so something that Disney would create. Don't you agree?
I agree. It's super cool. It is basically just a bunch of animals. Like, even the hostess stand is basically an animal, and they, say the Stein family is ready for their adventure.
Yeah.
And I mean, it typically looks like an actual rainforest, with all the trees, and then there's lightning and thunder, and there's waterfalls and
aquariums
stuff
throughout,
and it's really neat. It really is neat, and animals, and they move and they make noises, and it's really, really cool.
It is a ton of fun to go in there. And this is one of those, though, that I know, at least for Lacey, when she was much younger, this scared her. So about every half hour, there's going to be a thunderstorm, and the lights are going to flash and dim. It is going to sound like rain. There's going to be thunder. There's going to be flashes of like lightning. Animals are going to move. You know your child very well. If that's something that a younger child might scare them, might want to wait a little bit on this. That's certainly what happened when she was younger. But once they get to a certain age, they're okay with this, much like TFresh Cafe, you know. Then, yeah, I would say go ahead and bring them. What did we finally sign up for?
The Landry's card.
Yeah.
So
We finally did. So $25. If you can either go online prior and do it, which I would actually recommend, because within about 24 hours, you're going to get your first $25 reward that you could then use when you go dine. We signed up on the spot. A manager came out with a card ready to go. It had a registration number on it that we could register later. It was 24 hours later that I got the card. So they'll charge the $25 to your overall bill, but then it's not like I had a reward to use immediately. But we'll certainly use it next time we go. It's going to get you preferred seating at any Landry's restaurants. That's going to include Rainforest, T-Rex, and Yak and Yeti right there on Disney property. Bubba Gump over at City Walk at Universal. Priority seating is wonderful. We went one time with a group. I think the wait was around 2 hours. We got in under a half hour with the priority seating and no advance reservation. You get that initial $25 reward, which basically pays for the membership right there. You're going to get $25 on whoever's birthday it is that is registered under the card. So we did Rhonda's.
Yay.
Because, I mean, to be honest, what we'll probably do is wait until you get your birthday one in July.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll go back to Yak and Yeti, and right there we've got $50.
Yes.
And then for every dollar you spend, you get a point. Every $250, you go ahead and get a $25 gift card.
And when you get drinks, it works, right? Every point.
No, it's on food only, because our total, we earned 94 points, or maybe it was on drinks. You know, I honestly will have to go back and look.
Yeah, because our whole bill was like $130.
Yeah, before tip.
Which 25 of that was the Landry's card.
Good point, Rhonda. So it is for every dollar you spend. Wonderful deduction there by Rhonda doing some math. I can't do it. But yeah, I mean, so we already earned 94 points on this first one. I mean, it's for us, it's hard pressed to go to a restaurant, have an app, an entree or two, have a drink or something, and not spend $100. So we'll do another meal or so and probably be at that 250 points and $25 reward. So Leanne was our cast member, our waitress. She was absolutely wonderful. Towards the end, before we were wrapping up, we spoke to her for some time. We're talking about St. Augustine and tattoos and stuff, and she was super duper sweet. So their breakfast menu, and I think, is very unique. You know, this is not going to sit down and get your scrambled eggs, your bacon, your sausage, your Mickey waffles, you know, things like that you're going to see a lot of the Disney-owned restaurants. You're going to get everything from a standard, you know, breakfast of bandits, which is 2 eggs and, you know, bacon or sausage, potatoes, toast. They've got skillets. They have Tonga toast over here. They have your Eggs Benedict.
Foster's pancakes.
Banana Foster's pancakes, steak and eggs, omelets. They have a brunch section, which includes breakfast nachos, which I would like to get next time, a pot roast hash, a burrito, chicken and waffles. They have a croque madame, a good morning BLT, a croque monsieur, a breakfast burger, a healthier side with yolk power bowls, egg white omelets, parfait, avocado toast, steel cut oats, and then a slew of sides. They have a wonderful kids menu that includes that Tonga toast, cereals, waffles, your standard breakfast, pancakes. They've got a bunch of smoothies and freezes for drinks.
But they also have
alcoholic beverages.
I just started to say, yeah.
Like, they've got a lot of stuff here that looks super interesting to try. So we started with some drinks.
We did.
We had some breakfast drinks. It was our anniversary. Leanne said it was okay because it was, what time was our reservation?
I had an espresso martini.
You did, yeah.
So that was my coffee drink for the morning, and it was very good. But you, I believe,
had a Mai
Tai. Okay, that's what you had. I forgot.
So they have a section of either you have some frozen and you have some standard like cocktails that all come with a souvenir glass for like $16. I do not have that souvenir glass because that was my error. If you're going to, so they basically, like any of these places, they're not going to give you the actual souvenir glass.
I feel like you don't have one around here somewhere.
No, I don't actually. I have one from Boathouse. I think that's very similar, and like Spirit of Aloha, a couple of those as I look around, but I don't have a Rainforest one somehow. So what they're going to do is at the end in your receipt, you're going to take that receipt into the store and they're going to give you a brand new one in the box.
Mm-hmm.
I went to do that at the end of the meal. She said, "Are you going into the park?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You're not allowed to take glass in." Obviously, that makes sense. She said, "Just stop by on your way out." We just forgot to stop by on our way out.
We did.
So,
but do you still have the receipt?
I do. But we'd have to see if we go back. I don't know if they mark it. I mean, I can ask. We can try and just see what happens.
I say we ask and we report back to our listeners.
Yeah. But Mai Tai was super good.
Yeah.
Drinks were good. There's a good selection of those. A lot of really fruity concoctions that I think are a good way. Honestly, if you're going to have a cocktail at breakfast and it's not a mimosa or a Bloody Mary, which I just don't think we were in the mood for, they've got a lot of really good fruity drinks. Or, they made that espresso martini basically for you because it's not on the menu.
Right.
So they were able to craft one, and it was super duper good.
Yeah, because they did have espressos on the menu. And then, like I said, or like Jeremy said, their bar was open. And actually, what time were we sitting down for breakfast? 9:30.
Yeah, 9-ish. And I think they opened the bar for seating around 10.
I started to say, it looked like it was, well, I'm going to know it was open.
Yeah. So
yeah.
You could even go there if you didn't have a reservation or you didn't use the Landry's walk up and it was full or something. You could certainly go sit at the bar area. And the bar stools look like the bottom half of a bunch of animals. So like you could be sitting and from your butt down looks like zebra legs.
Yeah.
So
cool.
It's funny to walk in and see all these like top half humans, bottom, animals of all different kinds.
It is neat.
It's pretty cool. So I think Rhonda was coming around a little bit, but we still had to get food.
Mm-hmm.
There is an item on a menu. You're getting it.
Yep.
Most everybody who's listened for several episodes probably knows what it is.
And they're shouting it out. Ready?
Yep.
Shrimp and grits. But this is a shrimp and grits Benedict.
Yeah.
For $20.99. So this is a grit cake, sautéed shrimp in Cajun cream sauce, poached eggs, Old Bay hollandaise sauce, andouille sausage, onions, red and green bell peppers.
And first of all, this will feed an army.
It is like what you're picturing a Benedict when it's a grit cake. It literally comes on, so that would be your
English muffin instead. Yeah, so it's replacing the English muffin.
Correct. And then you have your poached egg on top and the sauce, and then the shrimp was around it. And like I said, these are two good size grit cakes, good poached eggs. They were perfectly poached. This is two. So if you're into sharing, which we didn't, should we have? Maybe.
Yeah,
these are big portions. I think
they're huge. I think you can share here easily. Based on these two portions and everything else that I saw come by.
I was just gonna say
for us, we're in a mode right now. If it's just the two of us dining, we're gonna probably order an appetizer, an entree each, a dessert, so that we can just try more food, because we do believe that we only had 2 entrees. For all we know, everything else on the menu is garbage. But we feel that based on at least 2 entrees and atmosphere and talking to, Leanne and all, we're going to be able to give a full review of what we feel the quality is of this restaurant, if that makes sense, which is the reason that we didn't split anything. And, well, go ahead. Talk about the Shrimp and Grits Benedict. And if you would like to say any sort of official apology to Mr. Landry himself, I assume that's who owns these restaurants, or the animals at Rainforest, you can go ahead and do that now. You can make peace with your apprehension of going to this place.
I'm not going to apologize.
Because I think your mind was completely blown and changed.
But
was it not?
I'm going to know that I can eat there again if we need to.
Good. We need to.
So before we talk about this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Jeremy got the Pie of the Viper, which is $18.99. It is a Mexican-style breakfast pizza. And anybody that knows Jeremy this is totally up his alley. This is salsa, scrambled eggs, tomatoes, spicy and sweet green and poblano peppers, cilantro, cheddar, and mozzarella cheese. You can add bacon or chorizo or maple sausage for $2.99. Jeremy chose chorizo.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like he said, we had these drinks, which was kind of nice. But it did seem to be taking a little while. And she actually came over and basically kind of apologized, but explained to us why. And apparently, which I didn't know, but Rainforest, it is a scratch-made kitchen.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that. And
I wouldn't have either. And so they were making all of this like from scratch, or it's not just, oh, hang on, here we have this, here we have that. I'm sure the cakes were made before, but they're poaching these eggs. They're, probably sauteing the shrimp right then and there. And it was,
and it shows.
It did.
It shows in the quality and the taste of the food.
Yes. Because now going back to my shrimp and grits, these were phenomenal. I will say I would love to go back, and I would probably literally ask them to go ahead and keep off the andouille sausage, the onions, and the red and green peppers, and maybe have a littler sauce, not as much, because the hollandaise sauce was amazing, and the poached eggs and all of it together, and the shrimp was fantastic. There was just in the sauce like hidden like pretty decent size andouille sausage cut like long ways, and red and green and pepper and onions. They weren't needed for me. I didn't like them, so I kind of pulled them all out.
Yeah, I think the only problem with them, I think the flavor in them was there. But they should have been they were real thick cut. It was not a good cut, and it was not an even cut on the onions or the pepper. So they were real big, thick pieces that I just think was a little off-putting. If they had been diced up more or much thinner pieces, I think it would have worked. I liked the sausage, but same thing. If that had been in smaller, like diced chunks, I think it would have fit well. But you're right. I don't think the dish needs any of those items. That's how good it was.
It really was. It really, really was. Like, it was so good that I took all the andouille sausage and shrimp, because my meat was my shrimp, and that's what I wanted. Once I kind of took all that out, I was eating so much that I literally had to move it to the other side of the table, put a napkin over top of it so I wouldn't take another bite, because that's how good it was. And I didn't want to hurt myself.
And you still ate 3/4 of this dish.
I
did. Very, very proud of you.
I did.
Yeah. And again, I know a lot of times shrimp and grits come with andouille sausage. And I just don't think, I don't think it was necessary in this one.
Yeah. And like I said, it didn't take away from the dish for me.
But it didn't necessarily add to it.
No.
I don't think anybody would sit down with this dish, and if it didn't have the andouille sausage, would have been like, excuse me, where's my andouille sausage? You would have forgot that it existed with how good everything else was.
Absolutely. And I don't think of shrimp and grits where I need that sausage. Now, if it was, well, I know if it's not going to just be grit and no shrimp, but if there was no shrimp, obviously I would want that to have that meat. But yeah, I mean,
the shrimp were delicious.
Oh, everything was
great
so
size.
So good.
Won't go on from there, but they were this. Did you put this at number 2? Because this is very comparable to what's over at House of Blues, because they do the grit cake as well.
Yeah,
there's a bit of a sauce
to do House of Blues again, because I don't remember. But
well, they're gonna not have the poached egg and the hollandaise.
I know.
If you took off the poached egg and hollandaise, this is House of Blues.
Yeah.
So this takes it up a whole other level.
It does. I would say, again, if I could go back and say, okay, I'd like the shrimp and grits, but can you don't put as much cream sauce, because that's where all the sausage and peppers, and then keep those out. This would be number 1 for me.
Easily. It was so dang good.
I'm telling you, that poached egg on top with that Old Bay hollandaise sauce. Yeah, it was fantastic.
I'm just blown away. It's a scratch-made kitchen. I did not know that at all. My pie of the Viper, the Mexican-style breakfast pizza, was outstanding. This was a flatbread. This
is a big one. How many pieces?
This was 8 pieces, and I would venture to say about 8 by 12 inches. So again, very shareable.
Yes.
Loaded with eggs. This was the thing. When she said, because I don't think she told us about it being scratch made until after I said something to you about the chorizo, because I was like, this chorizo tastes like it is house made. And then it was only minutes later, I think, that she came by and said it's a scratch made kitchen. And I was like, I was just saying how this chorizo tastes house made. So it was so good. All the flavors were perfect. I loved it. Same thing. I mean, I got through 6 pieces.
It was good. I took a bite.
Yeah, you liked it too. And the nice crispy crust to it. Tasted like a homemade flatbread dough.
Mm-hmm.
I did the same thing. I had to pick up my dish and set it on the other side of the table and like put my napkin on top of it. Because even when I put my napkin on top of it in front of me, I found myself just kind of reaching and picking off some chorizo. It was so good. I would go back here. Like, there's not a ton of breakfast options at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
I could see us definitely going back and splitting something next time. The hardest part would be us deciding on something that we both want that day, because breakfast nachos, come on.
That would be fun to get. I'm not going to lie. That would be super fun. But I'd be hard pressed to not go back and get the shrimp and grits and then like changing it up like that.
Well, what I think we'll do is we'll go back for a lunch or a dinner next time.
Okay.
So that we can go ahead and vary that. And I don't, this place doesn't get, I don't think, a lot of love. I think people just think, all right, this is this chain kind of,
I think it's a love or almost hate.
It certainly. I mean, I bet it is. And but it's okay. It's this themed restaurant. You're pulling people in because of the theme, not the food. And honestly, it should be the opposite. In fact, we were going into Animal Kingdom and ran into Craig Williams and his lovely family from the Diz.
Yeah.
And I was just like, we just came from Rainforest Cafe. It was unbelievably good. And he was like, that will probably be the most surprising thing I hear all day long.
Yeah. That was funny.
And I think it would surprise anyone. It surprised us.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was going to be bad. I figured it'd be good. I didn't think it was going to be great.
I didn't think it was going to be great. I thought it was going to be fair.
Yeah.
Because that is how I remember like the lunch with Lacey. Like, it was fair. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
It was fair. And I felt like you're in there for the like not lions, but all the animals.
Tigers.
I started to say lions,
I don't
tigers,
think
and
there's
bears.
bears.
Oh my.
Yeah, I don't think there's bears.
I don't know.
I'm glad that it was a wonderful experience. It was
Me
going
too.
It was going to be a wonderful experience no matter what. It was the morning of our anniversary. We were together. We were having a great time. We'll touch more on Animal Kingdom's 25th, but we had already gotten our merch shopping out of the way before breakfast, which was lovely because we didn't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah.
It was an overall beginning to end awesome experience that we loved, and we will certainly be back.
Yes, we will.
Now, we did eat dinner that night at Narcooses,
and
I do believe, and we're going to go to lunch next for the next day, because we did not eat 3 sit-down meals in a day. Go back to our Disney dining ways to save. We do not recommend more than 1 table service restaurant in a day, and I'm honestly not sure if we've ever done 2 in a day, and we did on our anniversary. Because we did breakfast and we did dinner at Narcooses.
Yes.
But first, we're just going to fast forward a little bit to Sunday. We went over to Epcot. We did Behind the Seeds. Usually when we get up on a Sunday morning from a trip, we're ready to go home. We like to get home. We can usually leave around 10 a.m. We're home by noon, see the girls, see the animals, and we have the whole day to ourselves. And we really like that, as opposed to going to a park and hanging out all day, getting home at 6, 7 p.m. And next thing you know, boom, Monday's in your face and you got to get back to the real world.
Right.
Now, the reason we were going to a park this day is because when I went to book Behind the Seeds, I was going to try and do it in the afternoon on our anniversary. It was full, but they had 10:30 a.m. on Sunday available. So that's what I booked. Took us into the park, did Behind the Seeds, talk about that next episode. We weren't really ready to go though, right? So we kind of just started to wander around a little bit. Like, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? And then it would turn into the quintessential spouse evening of, what do you want to eat? I don't care, whatever you want to eat. And then that person makes a suggestion and the other person is like, well, I don't want that. So I guess walk through everybody though, where we initially thought we were going and kind of like, how did we end up at Coral Reef?
Well, it was funny because we actually, we rode Cosmic. And then we did Behind the Seeds, which really worked out well because Behind the Seeds was about an hour, correct?
Yeah, it's an hour long.
I'm not sure why I don't know what happened, but unfortunately Cosmic messed with me a little bit this time. And I was very praising God and thankful that we were about to just stand and walk and just not do really anything for the hour.
Well, we rode it fairly early.
We did.
We were worried because when we first showed up, it was perfect timing and it was broke down.
Mm-hmm.
And we were worried we weren't going to get it in before Behind the Seeds, which was just going to be a great plan. So then once it was reopened, we felt a little rushed. We were a little worried. Hadn't eaten or drank anything all morning. Well, that's not completely true.
We were drinking water.
Yeah, and you did have some leftover cold Narcooses risotto. That we'll get to that later. But hadn't really.
Yeah.
And then I think once we got out of
was
Cosmic
good.
Rewind, there was a rush for us to get over to Behind the Seeds because we want to be 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
And at this point, we're 15 minutes to go and we're at Cosmic Rewind. So we felt rushed. So I wonder if all of that collectively just got to you a little bit because it was once we relaxed and we were checked in and we were standing and waiting that you were like, oh.
No, I was.
You were before that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's when you first mentioned it. Okay. But
That's
anyway.
when I wasn't mentioning it because I was like, "You're fine, Rhonda. You're fine. You're
okay.
fine. You're fine.
I
You're
got you.
fine." And then when I was like, "Okay, you're gonna be fine," that's when I
Yeah.
say something. That's
Okay.
just the type of person I am.
Yeah. So how did we end up at Coral Reef?
So after Seeds, I'm feeling better. We're still just kind of walking. We start the World Showcase, and then we were like, well, let's go to possibly Tutto Gusto.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, ooh, spaghetti. When's the last time we had that? So, and we've just had such great food already this weekend that I was thinking the spaghetti, So we go look, and that's still not going to open. Anyways, pretty much long story short, everything was 10 minutes. Like pretty much.
Yeah, we could have gotten. We're looking at the walk, and this is if you don't know, they have walk-up list availability that you can go right into the MDE app. You don't have an advanced reservation, and they will tell you what the availability is, and you can grab basically what will look like a last-minute reservation without going through the normal Disney dining reservation.
Right.
So you go and say, I want to look at the walk-up list. This said, for example, Spice Road Table, 10 minutes. Coral Reef, 10 minutes.
Didn't it say
Le Cellier was about
like
45
12
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do have to be within a certain
Yes.
distance of the restaurant to join that walk-up list.
Mhm.
You could, for example, while we were over in Morocco, could not join for Coral Reef.
Correct.
We had to wait. I think we were right coming from the UK into Canada
Yep.
when our proximity was close enough.
Yep.
So just something to note. But yeah, we looked and we were like, no, I said, we could do Le Cellier at 12:55. And then I looked back at my bank account from the day before and was like, well, that is not going to work for either one of us. So I was like, let's maybe not do Le Cellier. Like, it's been an expensive weekend dining wise the past 2 weekends. So I was like, we'll put that off for another time. We'll find a time for that. And then I think when I mentioned Coral Reef is when you were like, well, we've never actually dined inside of there.
Correct.
If you go back to episode 414,
Mhm.
when we did the dining package at Coral Reef for to see Moana
Mhm.
perform. I can never pronounce her name right, and so I don't want to do it not do it justice, I should say. But we ended up with Coral Reef to go.
Yes.
Never stepped in foot in the actual dining hall, just in
Correct.
the initial lobby and
Correct.
the check-in desk. And that was one of those days we had Steakhouse 71 for lunch, and we simply could not fit another
Oh my gosh, we were so
dining
full.
reservation in, but we needed our dining package. So you can go
Correct.
back and here or there, but Rhonda was like, let's give it a shot. And we kind of looked at the menu and were like, let's go for it.
Yep.
So we joined the walk-up list.
Because we knew we didn't need to each get, and this was super exciting too. We knew we didn't each need to get a appetizer or a meal, or we were literally going to go, all right, we're going to get an appetizer and one entree.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And
maybe dessert if it looks good.
maybe dessert if it looks good. And but basically that's it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that right there is one meal between two people.
Mhm.
I'm like, it couldn't be that expensive. So
Right.
that's what we did.
So if you're not familiar with Coral Reef, it is located in the World Nature at Epcot. So this is tucked away. As
Yes,
you
it
are
is.
coming from Spaceship Earth to the right, heading towards the land, right before you get to Nemo and Friends, it's kind of very discreet on your right there.
It is.
And there's a little hostess stand out front, a portable hostess stand.
Yes.
There's not a lot of big signage or anything. There's no arrows pointing saying, hey, you can go eat in an aquarium. And so a lot of people, I think, walk past it. They don't really know much about it. This is American and seafood. It is considered a unique theme dining because there are an entire wall of an aquarium and fish looking
cool.
right into the whole seas, area. You can get annual pass holders and Disney Visa card members can receive that 10% off. They're going to go ahead and do lunch from 11:30 to 3:30, and then dinner a little bit early on the early bird side. I feel like at 3:45 to 8:30, but again, your menus aren't going to differ. We joined the wait list. By the time we got over there, we were called.
We weren't even over there.
Yeah, we weren't even over there yet, right?
We were walking, and it said your table's ready, and I'm like, let me say. So I actually in the text just wrote back and said we were on our way.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume that they know you're in Epcot because
Sure, they're going to give you a grace period. You have to be 10 to 15 minutes away by the time you can join the wait list.
Correct.
So you're obviously there.
Correct. So with all that being said, I just wrote, because I started to say where we were walking from or on our way from, and I was like, I'm just going to say on our way.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And yeah, we got up there, walked right in, and took us straight to a nice table. I like how it's inside because it's like, what do you call it? Stadium seating?
Yeah, it's tiered levels for the
there you
seating.
go.
So if we're technically, we're towards the back of the restaurant.
We were.
If this is a flat level, you don't see anything because all
Which
the other
is
diners are in your way.
So cool.
And this was raised up very nicely, perfectly good view. You certainly could request, I'm sure, a table right up there against the glass in the aquarium. We were perfectly fine where we were.
We were.
It's beautiful in there. It's a little
So
dark,
beautiful.
but it really lends to
Yes.
being under the sea.
Yes.
There is like mosaic tile work everywhere, all throughout.
Shell lights.
Yeah,
Super
shell
cool.
lights on the walls, like
Super
little.
cool.
What is it? Sconces? Is that what they're called?
I guess.
Yeah. It's beautiful in there.
It is.
It's not very big,
It's not.
but I love the atmosphere. and all.
Yes, I did too. And I would love to go back here and eat again and inside.
Yeah. And
So.
inside, the whole thing's inside.
Oh, I mean, sorry.
Try and
because,
get on the glass area.
well, yeah, but I'm sorry.
because last time we
because
didn't eat inside.
Yeah, this
we
is
ate in
the
our
second time we've
hotel room.
eaten Coral Reef.
out of styrofoam
but
containers. Or
right,
whatever. That's
sorry,
I got you now. Okay.
Sorry.
So I went ahead and for the second time ever had a little beverage, and I say second time ever of this drink, the smoked turkey for $16.50.
Mhm.
Our buddy Steve had made us this over at Scat Cats Club, over at Port Orleans, recommended by Chuck and Amy. Rhonda is not the biggest of fans.
No.
But I really enjoy it. This is Wild Turkey 101 bourbon, Red Stag Black Cherry bourbon, grenadine and Minute Maid premium lemonade with a hint of hickory smoke, garnished with a Luxardo Gourmet Maraschino cherry. I really enjoyed it. I think other possibly than the bit of smokiness, I think this is a good introduction to a bourbon drink because it has a sweetness to it. I like my old fashions like actually a little bit sweeter, on the sweeter side. So I thought this was very good. You went with a dirty martini, correct? So
normal.
I know. Have you met one that you didn't like? Are they too dirty?
No.
Not dirty enough sometimes?
So,
I love the guy at Nomad. What was his name at Nomad? He said, I can make it downright filthy for you.
Oh yeah.
We'll make sure we remember his name before.
Yeah, I'm like, hang on, I'm.
We got
anyway,
it till
sorry.
next episode. We'll go back and think about it.
Yeah, no, it was fine. I guess I can say I've had them where I guess if you call it too dirty, it's too salty.
Yeah, it'd be very
Um,
briny.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it dirty, just not, I guess, downright quote unquote filthy. But yes, I have met
that you
martinis
didn't
that I
like.
have not completely
Okay.
liked, but not at Disney.
Okay,
So-
perfect. So they will bring some rolls and some butter to your table.
Yeah.
It's very standard
Very standard.
rolls, and it's
But
just it's regular
good.
butter. It's not salted butter.
I know.
Which I love salted butter.
But good.
Yeah, if you need some bread and you get it, we each ate one.
We did. And it's just very dinner rolly, like a little crispy.
Dinner rolly. Yeah.
Well, because that's what it reminded me of. Like,
This is where you buy not Hawaiian rolls, but these are the ones that they're not necessarily
what are
Parker
they, the
House
frozen
rolls.
ones? that
Yeah,
you
just like you buy
Mm.
that sheet of frozen little ones and throw them in there.
And again, they're not bad,
They're
or
fu-
just they're just
You'll understand when we move to Narcooses. why we're saying they're not bad, but we can't really call them good. We'll get to that in a few, but
They were good.
Yeah.
They're just dinner rolls.
they're just regular dinner rolls and butter.
Okay,
But
let's move on.
I'll eat it. I
It's
love
free.
bread.
Come on, man.
It's let's not say free. Let's use the word included.
Okay.
If it was free, you could walk in and just say, "Will you please give me a bag of rolls and butter to go?" And they would hand them to you. They're going to say, "No, you must dine with us." And then they are included.
Well, what happens if you just say, "I want water," and then you sit and you're like, "Actually, we're just going to sit and have some water." Would you be in trouble?
You're a jerk. If you do that, that's wrong. You're taking up. That's not nice to do. That's not a tip. All right, so we ate a lot of seafood the day before, but this is a seafood restaurant. So we're going to talk about our appetizer first. When we get to our entree, I'm just giving that disclosure that we didn't want to go a seafood route because everybody's going to think we're nuts for what we ordered. But we did start with the seafood-based appetizer. What was that?
That was the seafood artichoke dip for $15. It is a creamy blend of seafood, spinach, and artichokes. It contains alcohol products. I didn't know that.
They're probably, they might be using a touch of brandy or something in there. I'm wondering.
Drunken shrimp?
They're drunken shrimp.
Just kidding.
Them and the goats were hanging out last night.
So this came with, which I didn't know because it didn't say in the description as I just read, but it came with a really crispy, what would that be called, babe?
Crostini.
Crostini?
I mean,
it was long and it was good.
They're really super
really
good. I don't know what you thought it was going to be served with. I don't think I've ever. Sometimes they are served with tortilla chips.
Yes, I thought chips, like a spinach dip, you always get tortilla chips. So I wouldn't have eaten the bread, but that's okay. So I had this nice crispy crostini, and I think it was so good together because the crostini was so crunchy and crispy, and this seafood artichoke dip was so creamy and good.
It's a really good contrast.
Really good. I loved the seafood all in it together and the artichoke and the spinach. They had the little baby salad shrimp, which I thought was fantastic because you're having a little boat of spinach artichoke dip. It's a dip. You don't want a giant shrimp.
Yeah.
And honestly, in my opinion, in this situation, you want those baby ones instead of pieces because it just lends well to
your textures,
prettiness.
Yeah, and your texture is all the same. You know, if you took a big shrimp the ones you had the morning before over in the Shrimp and Grits Benedict, and you dice it up, you're gonna have just different varying sizes and pieces, and just so it worked really well, and it imparted the shrimp flavor that you needed.
Yes,
and you still knew you were getting shrimp. Yep. I mean, I love spinach and artichoke dip. Like that's almost. I mean, I can go up and just get the one simply that's in the deli section of Publix. Heat it up, and I think it's delicious. So the addition of the shrimp was really good. At first bite or two, I was like, I think it could use like a little more salt or something. But then it was one of those, and this is how I actually think I know it was salted well. I kept wanting more. So it was honestly, the first bite or two, I was like, this is pretty good. Like, it's not bad. And then I just kept eating it, and you're like, okay, this is actually pretty good. I like this. We ate almost the entire thing.
Yes, we did.
Barely left any left, and it comes baked in its own little, like Crusette looking. It was good.
Yep.
Loved it.
It was.
So because we didn't want to do seafood, and the last time I was here, I did the filet, even though we got it to go. You had done the shrimp and grits last time, so both of those were off the table for us because we like to do something new. Everything else is seafood based.
Well, and we were eventually going to drive home that day.
Yeah.
After we walked a little bit more around after we ate.
Yeah.
So we wanted something more simpler, I guess. So we went with the harissa chicken for $28. It's saffron couscous, citrus yogurt, and spiced roasted seasonal vegetables. This is
nowhere in my mind can I figure out why harissa chicken is on this menu. Like I would expect this to be like a roasted chicken or a sous vide chicken or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm just shocked that they went with the harissa flavors.
Well, she also, and when we ordered it, she said it is a half chicken. So it is bone in.
Yes.
So we were like, oh yeah, that's fine. I do know some people do not like that.
Yes.
They won't eat chicken with bones in them.
The other 3 people in my family, including my parents and brother, will not eat meat off a bone.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, anyways, I'm glad that she said that in case we were those people that are like, oh, what? It's got bones in it? So, which is fine that we were fine with it. So, which was great. So, yeah. This was really, really good.
Surprisingly
very
good.
surprisingly good. It felt very, would the right word be clean? Just
Yeah, I mean that's the word we
good.
always use for it. Like it felt very light and healthy, fresh.
not
It had-
heavy,
It was not spicy,
not spicy.
so don't worry about that. The chicken was cooked to perfection. It was still super tender, super moist. It's the thick pearl couscous.
I like that.
I tend to not like it. It was delicious in here because it was cooked perfectly.
Mhm.
The vegetables were absolutely perfectly
Mhm.
roasted. Those little baby like carrots, stem on carrots
So good.
that are they what is it? Oh God, I'm gonna butcher this one. Haravote,
I don't know.
I guess what it's called. Somebody will let me know if I'm wrong.
The citrus yogurt
The
was
only
so
thing I
good?
wish I had more of was the citrus yogurt. They
I'm
used
sure
it.
you could have asked.
I could have and I should have. They used it more. They didn't use it as like an accompaniment to actually dip stuff in. It was more of just a drizzle for presentation. And so that's all I could have used more of. But when you got the couscous and the chicken all together, maybe even a little piece of veggie and this yogurt, it was really, really good.
It was.
Now, would I go back and get this? No, only because I'm going to go for one of the other seafood options.
Yeah.
We saw somebody get the mahi at the table down next to us.
Yeah, and the prime rib. Holy
And the prime rib.
moly, that thing was giant.
It was huge.
Huge. I do want to come back here anyways, eat here, and get the actual shrimp and grits because it was so good, quote unquote, cold, left over, that I want to eat it when it's brought to my table. So
And I would go ahead and get the mahi because the mahi looked outstanding and I love mahi. So was really, really surprised and happy with how good this was. We finished off the whole dish and was another reason to split. We weren't going to take anything home.
Correct.
You know, we're getting in a car for 2 hours, had not packed a cooler.
Correct.
Which usually we do, but we didn't have a reason this time. We weren't really bringing anything down cold like we sometimes do. So really loved it. And then, you know, she was like, would you like to see the dessert menu? And we're like, I'm not kidding everyone when I say that the past 2 weekends I put 9 pounds on. And I'm not even exaggerating or joking. I'm now going back to try and work that off. 9 pounds. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
To put on in a
you
week.
ate a lot of
In
food.
10 days. We did. This is the most sit-down meals we have ever done in a 10-day period. So we're like, yeah, why not? What's 1 more pound amongst friends at this point? Why don't you bring us the dessert menu? She's like, bam, I've already got it.
Yeah.
And what did we see on there that really caught our eye?
First it was super funny because I was like, all right, well, if they've got creme brulee or
bread pudding,
we're getting it. Well, they didn't, and I'm reading off. Well, then I read this Bailey's almond and Jack Daniel's mousse for $9.50. It is chocolate ganache, candied almonds, and dessert contains alcohol products, and it's plant-based.
Yeah.
And we were like, that sounds interesting. Let's go ahead and get this. And it was super cute because it said, congratulations, which was a white chocolate.
Yeah, the little
correct?
white chocolate piece ready to go that they put right on our dessert, which was really nice.
Because we were celebrating our anniversary. Yeah. But yeah, so this thing was, so good.
Whew.
So good.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite desserts I've had.
This is really, really good.
Honestly.
Yeah.
We had this weekend, if I had to go back and I'd have to do some thinking on top 5 table service desserts, we had 2 of them for me this weekend. We're going to talk about the next one in a few minutes with Narcooses, but this would go up there. It was so good, super creamy, but it had a little bit of like crunch with some of the like decor and stuff around
candied
it.
Almonds,
Candied almonds were so good on top. It had a lot more of a flavor of maybe a Bailey's or a cream liqueur, not so much like a Jack Daniel's or a whiskey or anything, which is perfectly fine.
Which was nice too because I didn't taste any like alcohol.
Right.
It was so good.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I would get this one again.
Yes.
For sure.
100%.
So yeah, Coral Reef is one of those I don't think people hear a lot about. And anytime I do hear of it, it seems very 50-50. Kind of like we're talking about Rainforest. And, you know, when we do these type of dining reviews, there are 2 major things to remember. One, it's based on things that we like and enjoy.
Right.
Right? You know, we like the flavor of harissa. If you don't, then flat out this isn't the dish for you.
Right.
It is also going to, a lot of times, and our friend John Self, you know, food blogger extraordinaire, can tell you, it can really depend on that specific day, that time, how busy the restaurant is somebody you know, these are not end all to be it all. If you go to Rainforest Cafe and your breakfast stinks, I'm so sorry. We had a wonderful experience.
Right.
We feel that hopefully is the norm. We felt great about the quality. Same thing with Coral Reef. You know, we've not had a bad experience at Coral Reef, even when we were taking it to go and warming it up in a hotel microwave the next day. After we kept it on ice in a cooler, because that's when we were there for Thanksgiving last year, camping in a tent. Remember, we had to keep it on ice to keep it cold and then transfer it because we went to House of Mouse Expo over at the Embassy Suites. And that's when we eventually ate it because they had a microwave in the room.
And it was still good.
And it was still outstanding. That was when we invented the soup coffee cup.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly, there is no lobster bisque currently on the menu here at Coral Reef.
It was tomato bisque.
Tomato bisque. That is not on the menu anymore at Coral Reef. Yeah, we ended up moving on to lobster bisque, which is a lot harder to drink out of a coffee cup with the lid because of the chunks of lobster. What they have now is a New England clam chowder. I like a New England clam chowder. I am thinking of drinking that out of a coffee cup on the go, though, makes me a little bit nauseous. So I don't think that's a good coffee cup one.
That's funny.
Yeah, we really enjoyed Coral Reef, and I would go back. But I told Rhonda, this is not a place that's 60 days out, 30 days out, maybe even 10 days out. Am I going to be like, hey, let's get an advanced dining reservation for Coral Reef? Right. It's going to be one where I think we're at Epcot, and we're like, oh, man, what do you want to eat? Like, we didn't really think about it. And maybe we're all food festivaled out, and we go, let's see what the walk-up list looks like for Coral Reef. Mm-hmm. Boom, let's go do it.
Yeah.
Shrimp and grits, mahi, let's go. So, and shrimp cocktail, the other guy. Yes, this is one thing was good about being on the third floor is we got to peruse everybody else's food. Yeah. I wanted to be like, excuse me, sir, could you let me know how that is? And then I can take notes, or can I have a bite of that? But the shrimp cocktail looked like nice big shrimp.
It did.
So yeah, maybe we'll try that next time.
So moving on to dinner and Narcooses. So it's reopened and it is all new inside if you're not familiar.
Yeah, it just opened back at the beginning of the month here in April. And so there are a couple reasons we wanted to get back here. One, it's newly reopened.
Yes.
New menu, new interior we'll tell you a little bit about. Also, one of our good friends is now over there as a guest experience manager. We wanted to go see him.
Yes.
And so it just seemed like a perfect anniversary dinner. We went years ago.
Yes, we did.
And we enjoyed it a lot.
Yes, we did.
My only gripe a couple of years ago was I did the surf and turf. If you remember, the surf was a warm water lobster tail. I mean, makes me sound like such a snob. But I just prefer cold water, like northern lobster tail, than like the warm water kind of southern, like Caribbean style. It's still good, just the only difference. Everything else was outstanding. We watched the fireworks. Yep. Had wonderful service. I believe his name was David. Going back all the way, probably 4 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't
Our
know why
waiter's
I remember that.
name?
Yeah, because he was
my
absolutely
God. How'd
outstanding.
You do that? That's
I don't
crazy.
know. But it used to have, I'll let you explain the new interior. So it used to be, it was definitely dated, but it fit the rest of current Grand Flow, you know, which is getting some refurbs and stuff and it needs to be updated some. But it had this weird tiered seating that worked very well at Coral Reef, for example. Mm-hmm. But like here, because I remember we were waiting on our table and they had a bar area that we went up to. And the bar where the cast members and bartenders are was sunken down.
Yes.
So you basically, the level of the bar was standard countertop height and chairs. But instead of the cast members while standing up, it's not like they're rising above you. They're sunken down enough where you're still eye level. It was just a weird setup.
It's different, yeah.
And then we sat on like a second tier. So, for example, some of our view was of trying to look out into Magic Kingdom and the castle was slightly blocked because you're raised and now you're looking towards top of windows. Mm-hmm. So they gutted this whole thing.
Yes, they did.
And what do you think now of the new decor? It is a very modern, I guess, kind of Nantucket seaside style theming and decor.
Yes, very clean and simple to me, but just elegant.
Yeah.
Beyond elegant, just gorgeous. Like the creams and the tans and like Chris, what he was wearing that night. I mean, he just looked like he completely fit, and like he had like a nice like white jacket on with some tan pants, and like he just, I don't know, he just looked like he owned the place. Like it was just beautiful.
Beautiful in there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a lot of those like coral style colors, you know,
Yeah.
the blues, greens,
Yeah.
and it feels very, very elegant but comfortable seaside retreat type of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know, you have these picturesque windows, excuse me, surrounding, you know, the entire restaurant. Everybody has some sort of a view looking out. It just, even walking up there, because it sits in its own building on the water there,
Yes.
off of the main Grand Flow lobby and rooms and all. So just everything from the approach and checking in to walking down to your seat and all is just, it's stunning. And
Yes, it
we had
is.
a wonderful seat right along the window. There's a little deck outside. We had a perfect view of Cinderella Castle.
We did.
Like, so much, in fact, that, and we never, ever do this, we sat on the same side of the table.
Oh yeah. Well,
So we could both have that perfect view, because otherwise I would have had to been turning my
Yes.
my shoulders in a little bit.
But they also suggested that when
Yeah.
we sat down, and it was our anniversary,
Yes.
literally that day.
Yep.
So I was fine sitting next to him.
It was wonderful.
But yeah, it was great. It was really cool.
So Hilda was our server.
Mm-hmm.
She was fabulous.
Yes, she was.
Awesome. And well, I guess, Rhonda, go through real quick. I
started
mean,
to
I know we
say.
just talked most of it, but go ahead, just a few of our standard bullet points that we do like to share with y'all if anybody's keeping score or keeping track on an Excel spreadsheet or something.
Well, of course, it's located at Disney's Grand Flow Floridian Resort and Spa. It is American and seafood. It is fine signature dining. You do get annual pass holder, which is 10%, and your Disney Visa card member, which is 10%. Dinner only runs from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Yeah. So this is your one shot. So this is a tough reservation to get, especially with it being newly reopened. Again, Mouse Dining, you can use that service for free at msmfriends.com. And going back, anytime we mention these discounts, those are only included on food and non-alcoholic beverage.
Yes.
They're not included on any sort of alcoholic beverage. So to get the night started, we both ordered a drink. What did you order?
I ordered the key lime pie martini for $16.50. This is Tito's handmade vodka, Midori melon liqueur, vanilla cream, and cold pressed lime juice with a toasted meringue. Now, some of the items on the menu are new, but some of them are repeating. And this is actually a repeating drink.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing to bring back some of the fan favorites.
Yeah, I did not have it before. It was very good. It is very sweet. I would have liked to have, instead of started with it, finished with it like a dessert.
Yeah.
But it was very good.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought
we
it was
did.
delicious. I mean, this was liquefied key lime pie.
It really
which
was.
We're both big
100%.
fans of,
Yeah.
and it had that little meringue floating on top. So this is what I will say is that all of these drinks, these dishes, everything. I mean, if you're looking for your Instagram worthy plated and handcrafted cocktails, this is definitely a place to come to. I started with the Tawny Manhattan for $16.50. This was an Elijah Craig Kentucky Straight Bourbon, Croft Reserve Tawny Port, brown sugar, Hella Cocktail Company orange bitters. I just said earlier, I like my old fashioned and stuff on the sweeter side. This was on the sweeter side, and I absolutely loved it.
Good.
It was really, really good. There are some other delicious drinks like a cold brew martini, right? You got the Paper Plane, which is a Widow Jane 10-year straight bourbon whiskey, Amaro Nannino, Aperol liqueur, and fresh lemon juice. They've got a Grand Martini. They do have an old fashioned. They've got an express lime gimlet. The next beverage that I had was handcrafted by Chris himself, who designed this, which was so cool. And this is the Smoked Dark and Stormy for $16.50. This is a Gosling's Black Seal rum, charred pineapple syrup, Carpano Antica formula sweet vermouth, smoked chili bitters, and Fever Tree ginger beer. This is now up there probably with one of my favorite drinks on property. Especially being someone that doesn't really do rum, and especially dark rum. This was just so good. It was like super refreshing.
The ice cube was as tall as
yes.
the drink.
So again, handcrafted, ice cube that fit the tall cocktail glass, or the highball glass, I should say. It had this, the charred pineapple decor on top is like the decoration. It was so good. I loved it. I would go back and I would get this again. And then and this was of course through the course of dinner, but we're talking drinks first. What did you get next? Did you end up just doing a dirty martini?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you did too.
Yeah.
So that's certainly available.
Yeah.
Now, before you
Simple, nothing.
are able to get into your meal and your ordering, they are going to bring you some bread. And this is why we did this for dinner on Saturday. We did Coral Reef on Sunday for lunch. So when they brought out those rolls, which were perfectly fine, as we mentioned, part of you just wants to be like, no. After last night's bread, that was the perfect, like, crispy exterior, super soft inside, oven baked with the salted butter.
Oh, the salted butter.
This bread was so freaking
I'm not sure if
good.
it was the bread as much as it was the salted butter.
Oh, salted butter sets everything off. But this
So
was
good.
This was good bread.
It was good bread.
Like, this tasted like it came out of the oven a minute before.
Yeah.
And served directly to our table.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd go back for just the bread. Is the bread free or is it included? We'll have to ask.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to appetizers. So a couple things they have are, and this is where the pick was not hard for us. You'll find out why. But this was extremely hard to pick because I would
100%.
eat every last one of these.
Yes.
Buttermilk fried calamari. If you know us, we get calamari most any place that they have it. Sweet potato gnocchi. They have an ocean-inspired charcuterie board, which I was very, very tempted to get.
We almost got that.
It has an ahi tuna pastrami, charred octopus, and lobster sausage. This will definitely be ordered by me next time. Then they have a brisket and ricotta tortellini.
That's what I would want.
But it was
the
on the
sweet
menu.
potato
We had to
gnocchi.
get it. So what did we end up getting?
Shrimp and grits.
Yeah.
For
Talk about this one.
$19.
Yeah. I love that it's an appetizer.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we might not have done it if it was a full entree.
Right.
Just knowing there are other things to try.
Yep. So this is local Gulf shrimp, peach barbecue sauce, low country grits, applewood smoked bacon, and chow chow.
Chow chow. Yeah.
Ah.
What did you think of this? This was a
is-
perfect appetizer
yeah.
size too.
It was fantastic. And it's so funny because where did we go? It was Universal, and the guy made shrimp and grits for me, and he
Yes.
put
We were
barbecue
at
sauce.
Jake's American Bar.
But he put barbecue sauce.
Yes. He was from Atlanta,
Yeah.
and he was, because it wasn't on the menu.
No.
And he was super awesome. The chef
Yeah.
came out. He was so cool. He was like, I'm going to make it my way.
So
And it
reading
literally was with barbecue
that
sauce.
peach barbecue sauce
Yeah.
is funny to me. But this was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice small portion, but great for two people.
Mm-hmm.
The shrimp were huge.
They were so flavorful.
So
I
good.
mean, had that taste of kind of char on the outside of like a pan sear, pan fried.
The
I
grits were
loved it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were nice thick grits.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the sweetness of a peach barbecue sauce lent very well to this.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas when we had it, that the chef was so nice to handcraft for you, was much more of like a traditional ketchup,
Yeah.
strict-based barbecue sauce and brown sugar,
Right.
but without enough of the sweetness, which the peach, I think, lended to.
Yeah.
I loved this dish.
Yes.
I mean, if this was a full serving, like I would get it as an entree for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So we're going to move on to soups and salads. They have a blueberry and barrel-aged feta salad, romaine and hearts of palm salad. Both sound outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to get what?
A soup, and it is lobster bisque for $18. It is butter poached lobster, vanilla, and coral. And so she comes to the table and puts down this bowl, basically, and there's just lobster in it.
Mhm.
And
I mean, right in the middle center is a big mound of lobster.
And I'm
meat.
like looking, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I see that she has this cute little silver like tea kettle in her hand.
It was blue. It was a coral
Blue?
blue.
Was
Yeah, it was
it?
like a
Oh.
coral blue colored.
Oops.
But think of it as, kettle, basically.
Yeah, but I was
Or
thinking,
pitcher.
I thought it was like a
Yeah.
silver. But anyways, I'm going blind. Just kidding. And then she literally poured out the lobster bisque, like all in the bowl and over the lobster. And it was just a beautiful presentation for one. And then for two, the taste was just phenomenal. Just stupid good. Like, really good.
This is when we go back to the bread. I mean, down at the end, I'm taking, I'm ripping off the extra bread and sopping up every little bit of this bisque I can get. Now, I will say, when you go across property, I know we joke about the coffee cup, tomato soup, and we've been doing lobster bisque across property, and they're all so outstanding.
Yeah.
This one, I think, is just set off so much by that presentation of it, of them coming and pouring it tableside, and you seeing the mound of lobster meat in there, and not that you wouldn't have tasted it if they just brought the whole thing out and it was mixed to it. You definitely would have been like, oh, I got chunks of lobster. This is great. But that presentation was just so cool. And then it was so neat to throughout our meal, because we dined for a while. We were there for 2 hours. And to watch all the other tables get it. And it was kind of like, I wondered, maybe they were watching us, but you could see their reaction of oh, there's just a bowl with some lobster. Oh, look at this. And they pour it out, and it's just this whole wonderful, beautiful presentation. So if we move on to entrees, again, this is one where I'm going to be honest, I don't see something on here that I would not order.
Mm-hmm.
There's a yuzu ginger salmon. There's a 12-ounce prime New York strip steak. It's probably what I would do next time. Dry-aged pork ribeye chop. I love pork chops, which has a goat cheese potato pave, which would be good. Turnips, fig Jew. They've got a Gulf shrimp bucatini. That is including house-made bucatini pasta. Surf and turf, which again was what I had done before. That's your 7-ounce filet mignon and your butter poached lobster tail. And then they have a roasted vegetable paella.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to order, and if there's shrimp and grits on the menu, Rhonda's going to get it. Normally, if there's calamari on the menu as an appetizer and it's not battling a shrimp and grits, we're going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
If there are scallops on the menu, I'm going to get them.
Oh, yeah.
So I got the seared scallops and a Parisian gnocchi, which included English peas, tasso ham, and truffled Meyer lemon cream for $52.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Every last bit of it was
the gnocchi was
so
really good.
Yeah, it was a dense, flavorful gnocchi. The sauce, it was plenty of that lemon cream to go throughout. Nice, big, perfectly cooked scallops. Scallops are something that I feel like a degree either way can be overcooked or undercooked. And these were absolute perfection. Cut with your fork, super flavorful, perfect sear, tender on the inside. The tasso ham gave almost like a nice little crunch because there were small diced pieces, which was perfect. Going back to the andouille sausage from the shrimp and grits at Rainforest,
right,
would have been served better by a smaller cut like this. I loved everything about this dish. I mean, it's another one of those was lick your plate delicious.
Yeah.
Would highly recommend.
Really good,
because you don't care for scallops, but you really enjoyed the gnocchi with the cream sauce and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, if you are a scallop fan, 10 out of 10 recommend. In fact, I was telling Jess about this, and she said Landon is a big scallop fan.
Oh.
Our wonderful friends from Vacation Grocery Delivery.
Yes.
All your grocery delivery needs, hit them up.
Yep.
VacationGroceryDeliveryFL.com. So she's like, I got to take him to go back or to go try him out. And I was kind of like, well, let us know. We might end up there because
we'll go with you.
What did you get as recommended by our friend Chris?
The blackened redfish. So it is chorizo, sun-choked hash, hominy. Okay. Florida sweet corn and red pepper roulette.
What'd you think?
It was really good. It wasn't fishy. It didn't taste like. Is it weird to say it didn't taste like fish? It was flaky. It was good. I liked the hash with it. The sweet corn, and it being blackened, it gave that spice to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I loved the blackening spice. It was very well done without being too spicy or anything. All of the accoutrement that went with it was delicious. You're right. They always say, like, if you're buying fresh fish, it shouldn't smell like fish.
No.
I know that sounds weird, but it shouldn't. And I feel like that's sometimes with the taste. I always recommend a mahi or a cobia to someone who is like, maybe, well, I don't really love fish, but I'm willing to try it again, or I've never had fish. I would put this dish specifically up in that same area. If you want to dabble in seafood and fish, and maybe it's something you haven't done before or you tried in the past and you didn't love it, you might not have had it at the right place prepared properly.
Mm-hmm.
And this was.
And did I say it was $48?
$48, yeah. This was super delicious.
Yeah,
and
it was.
I don't really know that we've had redfish before.
I don't either. Like, thinking about it, I feel like we're those people that stick to like 3
Yeah,
fish.
we stick to mahi.
Or
cobia is on the list.
And then we've had tilapia, and then
Yeah. Here's the thing with tilapia. I used to eat tilapia. Once I had mahi and cobia, they were just better than tilapia, where I didn't want tilapia anymore.
Well, isn't all the fish and chips tilapia?
No, they're usually cod fish.
Oh, okay.
So which a cod fish is a really good one to try. If you're going to try like fish and chips and a fried fish, cod is a really good one, I think, to introduce you, but it certainly has a bit more of a, what people would deem a fishy flavor.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, like we said before, these come down to our experiences. They come down to maybe what we had, but you can tell that the quality here is top notch.
Yes.
And it was cool. We met the proprietor, Matt, the manager there. He came by, and he didn't come by just because he was like, it's our anniversary, or we had been talking to Chris or anything. He's going to every single table.
Yep.
And he's talking to them, and he's finding out how is their meal and everything. And, I know they just opened a couple weeks ago, but that is so key and so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think also it's one of those things where, these places can only improve if you give them your honest opinion.
100%.
Now our honest opinion was everything was outstanding.
Right.
But certainly if we thought something was off, we would have been like, well, this or that.
Right.
And they're going to improve on that.
Oh, 100%.
And that's what I think makes it so incredible. So they do have some enhancements, like a butter poached lobster tail, a grilled Gulf shrimp, or pan-seared scallops. Now, if I had gone for just say the New York strip steak, you better believe I would have added the pan-seared scallops for $21.
Yeah.
And whatever I get next time, I'll probably add them. So your butter poached lobster tails, $31, and then your grilled Gulf shrimp comes in at $15. If those grilled Gulf shrimp are basically the exact same thing that we had in the shrimp and grit appetizer, which I assume they are, I would use those as an enhancement for sure.
Yeah.
If you weren't getting the shrimp and grits.
Yeah.
They were
I agree.
so good.
Yep.
All right. You have some sides.
Mm-hmm.
And because we care about our listeners, because we wanted to try as much as we could, we did order 2 sides.
We did.
Now, what are the 3 available, and which 2 did we get, Rhonda?
So they have a sweet and sour Brussels sprouts for $11. They have loaded mashed potatoes for $14, and wild mushroom risotto. I believe we had the sweet and sour Brussels sprouts before, and that's where I was like, I want the wild mushroom risotto.
Yeah.
And then the loaded mashed potatoes, the reason we did that is because it has it is garlic glazed pork belly, smoked cheddar, and creme I can't read that
Creme
word.
fraiche.
Mhm.
Creme fraiche. Yes.
So that pork belly, we were like, all right, let's do that. And then of course my wild mushroom risotto. Loaded mashed potatoes 14 and wild mushroom risotto for 12.
Start with the risotto, because we know how much you love the mushroom risotto over at the Canadian
Yes,
booth.
I do. This was so similar, but with so many more mushrooms in it.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it because there was a lot of mushrooms in it. But the earthiness of it, the risotto was cooked to perfection. It was so good.
It's being absolutely set off by this fontina as well, which adds a creaminess to it. I think it adds like a saltiness to it. I loved it.
Yeah.
And
you did.
And I'm coming around to the flavor of mushrooms. I still, a lot of times I don't like the texture. They're just kind of squishy. But
they are.
I'm really coming around to that earthy flavor. And I thought
so
this
good.
was absolutely outstanding.
Where that's where earlier Jeremy did say or we were talking the next morning. We took this home, and the next morning I literally cold wild mushroom risotto ate it, and it was fantastic.
Not a fork in sight.
Nope.
I also had leftovers the next morning because this loaded mashed potatoes with that garlic glazed thick cut pork belly on top was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The mashed potatoes, I think if they were on their own, would have been outstanding.
Oh, yeah.
But putting this garlic glazed pork belly on top, covering the entire top of the side dish.
Yeah.
And again, these are like 1/4 inch or more, 1/3 of an inch thick cut pork belly with a perfectly seared, crispy outside, tender inside, perfect amount of fat going through it. Like I mean, literally the next morning, I'm just picking out pieces of pork belly and eating them cold for breakfast.
The sad part is the mashed potatoes cold weren't like really good in my opinion.
Well, they were just dense because they set up.
Right.
But if you had reheated them, they would have been outstanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We didn't have a microwave in our room.
No, we did not.
I would have heated it all up and I would have eaten it.
Yeah.
If we did.
Oh, I would have too. It was so good. The sides were outstanding.
Yes, they were.
And, to be honest, that loaded mashed potatoes, if you really wanted to, I mean, you could sit down and that could be a meal.
Well, and I was thinking...
With the amount of pork belly, the meat to potato ratio is pretty dang good.
Well, the appetizers that we'd like to go back and try, I mean, I hate to say it, like, I would go back and just do, like, I would do, if, maybe the sweet potato gnocchi, or if you're...
Or the tortellini, the brisket tortellini, you could do that.
But you get that, and then I get the sweet potato gnocchi.
And then we each get a side?
And then maybe, a side, and then that's it. Like,
but I'm still going to add the pan-seared scallops. Is that okay? I'm going to still add those.
Onto what? A side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Assuming that's allowed.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't have to enhance an entree. If it can enhance a side
or
enhance an appetizer,
we'll see.
I will 100% take it. All right, so we move down to desserts. They have a berry pavlova. They've got a hazelnut chocolate bar, a pineapple bavaris, and an artisanal cheese selection. Shout out to Gary because he loves cheese. And he loves cheese specifically as a dessert.
Mm-mm.
But what was brought over from the old Narcooses, which is one of their most well-known desserts, is what we had to order after hearing so many wonderful things about it. And what is that?
The almond crusted cheesecake. It's Lambert cherry sauce and chantilly for $16. And this thing was so good and refreshing. Like just almost like a great palate cleanser, I feel like. So good.
I loved it. When I was talking
creamy.
earlier about top 5 desserts on property, what we had at Coral Reef, and this easily fit into the top 5. It was outstanding. Like you said, super refreshing. It was such a good way to end this meal because it was a rich meal. It was a very rich meal filled with lots of butters and creams and,
yes, it was.
And starches and things like that. And to end on this, and it is beautiful, absolutely stunning. And then we also got a nice little side dessert with a happy anniversary on it, which was beautiful.
Chocolate.
2 little chocolates that were so good.
Yes.
And it was just, it was such a good meal through and through. From beginning to end, from atmosphere to service to quality to freshness to taste to, everything you can think. And then we were able to cap it off by which we did not mean to time it this perfectly.
We did not.
But the fact that we sat for 2 hours because we were just enjoying ourselves and relaxing and conversating and all this, we were wrapping up and paying the bill around 8:45-ish, which was perfect timing to head out on their little wraparound balcony dock area to watch Happily Ever After.
Yes.
They are going to dim all of the lights within the restaurant and the outdoor area, and they're going to pump the music in
everywhere. So you don't, as if you ate before at Narcooses, they had to stop the entire inside process.
Yeah.
Food, everything. They'd save your table if you went out. This way, everything doesn't have to stop. And holy moly, it was amazing. And that Happily Ever After, Oh, that song. I mean, I literally almost cried. It was amazing.
Yeah.
That
I know
was
we got
so
to
great.
get back to Main Street. I know,
Yeah.
and we'll go within.
We will.
And that was our original plan. Our original plan was 6:45 dinner. We'll wrap up, about 7:45. We'll try and make our way over to Magic Kingdom. Even if we get a spot, in front of the train station and we're looking from afar because we're a little late, easy exit, whatever, that's fine. But we were just enjoying this meal and everything so much that it was like, we're not rushing this.
No.
Like, let's just savor this and this moment and this whole evening. And it was the best.
Yeah.
I would say, last year we did our anniversary dinner. It was the night before because we're going into Main Street 16 weekend at Flying Fish.
Mm-hmm.
That absolutely stood out. Narcooses really blew me away. I mean, I would venture
Which
to say,
it should.
Yes, it should. And they deliver.
Yes.
I personally would venture to say right now for me, this is a top 3 meal on property. Compared to now, Topolino's is number 1 because we've dined there multiple times, and every time it has been absolutely outstanding. And number 2 for me, probably just based on the fact that it was my favorite steak on property was last year's Flying Fish, but it could easily battle this as number 3. Like, those two could flip flop, I think. But I'm excited to get back. Like, we don't places like this, especially fine dining, signature dining. We don't repeat within several years often. But gosh, I want to repeat this.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Oh,
you agree?
100%. Yep.
And I want to do what you suggested. We each order an appetizer. We each order maybe a side or look at an enhancement or something and really kind of taste our way around the entire menu again. Because I remember posting all the photos and Amy was like, did you eat everything?
No.
Like, well, we ate quite a bit, but boy, is there still a lot more to discover. So, kudos to the whole Narcooses team for this reopening. We're coming down to the final restaurants that need to reopen.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I mean, shoot, I believe one of the last. Now there's a couple that are maybe still missing characters or how they originally operated, but I'm so glad this is back and highly, highly recommend. So check out Narcooses for sure.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add? Because we got a whole lot more to talk about on next episode.
I know.
About the rest of our trip.
Yay.
It was a beautiful, lovely, wonderful trip.
It was.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Hope you enjoyed.
I did.
Start planning for next year. Where do you want to eat next year for
I don't
our
know.
anniversary dinner?
Can
we finally
we
do
just
Victoria
get
and Albert's?
through? No. Like, can we get through tonight?
Let's get through tonight. That is fair. I do have to go make dinner. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Appreciate it. As always, as we post this out to social media, give us your thoughts on any of these restaurants. If you have dined there, if you're looking to dine there in the very near future, especially Rainforest Cafe. I want to hear opinions on that. You hit that subscribe button. You get the brand new episodes Tuesday. You'll get a brand new episode on next Tuesday will be our rest of this trip.
Yep.
And then additional Friday episodes every single week. You can check out wonderlandcrew.com to learn more about our Patreon group. Finally, go ahead and leave us a rating and review.
Because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.